Why was it important for you to build a program like LTG with a summer tournament right in Brooklyn, New York, and a lot of the other things you got going on?
Simple. To make a long story short, I feel growing up, if I had a coach like me, I'd have went a lot further. I feel like I'd have been a lot more successful. I'd have been a lot more disciplined at an early age. I'd have found myself way earlier. So that's really what it was. I really wanted to set out to give children, athletes, even parents, a place where they could grow and develop from middle school all the way up to college.
Mr. Kavon Baker, please join me on stage, sir. Mr. Baker, this is my guy. We go back to Kingsborough. We were teammates. I was the grumpy old soldier. He was a young 19-year-old. But I could see that he knew what he wanted. You know what I'm saying? He was talking about his program and his aspirations of being a high school coach so much so I'm like, yo, bro, we got a game. Like, put that on the shelf right now, bro. We'll get to that. But you did it. You did it, man. Tell me about your organization. Like, how far back does the vision go when you first say, yo, this is what I want to do?
Vision goes all the way back to my high school days at Midwood in Flatbush. My high school teammates are my best friends. Those are the guys we started the organization with. They were the first coaches of the organization. And back when we hung out in the hallways in school, we called ourselves Team Loyalty. So that's kind of how the name originated, Loyal to the Game.
What's your earliest memory of LTG, like the first steps?
I would say starting the tournament.
The Summer Classic.
Everything started with the tournament. I graduated from Brooklyn College in 2013, and the tournament started summer of 2013. So
you ain't waste no time.
As soon as I got out of school, I got to work.
So we talking about 10 years now.
Next summer will be the 10-year anniversary. Yeah, it would have been this summer, but COVID stole a year.
Talk to me about some of the highlights over the 10 years. What are some of your proudest moments?
Well, the proudest moment probably is not even basketball related. When the tournament first started, we had a group of older guys that kind of owned the park. Like, they were there every Saturday, every Sunday. They just played ball, hung out, played dominoes, things like that in the park. And I didn't know that when I applied for the permit for the tournament. So we kind of got a lot of kickback, a lot of quarreling over the years. But they started to see how much it did for the kids and the parents and just the community as a whole, and then they backed off.
They started to back off.
And they found another park to play in, yeah.
This podcast is very important to the WBH Radio catalog because of everything that happened afterwards. As we've already discussed, I didn't play high school basketball. But this guy is a PSAL encyclopedia. This is the source. He told me, yo, Will, I've been a part of the PSL, which is our high school league, since I was 12. And he's right. Played JV, played Vars. He's coached at the JV level. And I served as his assistant coach, and just being in the room with him, hearing him have certain conversations. Like, he wouldn't even be talking to me, but I hear him talking about XYZ. And I'd be like, yo, it'd be cool to go get that person on the podcast. People I didn't even know their names. Like, we had JC on. I didn't even know his name. He was the kid with the floppy dreads. You know what I'm saying? So I want to say thank you for that. I saw a quote from Gandhi. It said, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. Like that, all of that basketball stuff, Mr. Ray Haskins, Mr. Kevin Hamilton and stuff, like it started with him. Anytime I wanted to talk to one of these prominent basketball people, I would go to him. I'd be like, yo, what's the word on Kevin Hamilton? Like, yo, I don't know much about him. Heard anything bad? Nah, all right, I'll call him. You know what I'm saying? You also, high school basketball coach, athletic director at Wingate High School. What's it been, 2 years now?
This is the third year, September, third year.
What's that journey been like?
Tough. Toughest part is that I had no one to mentor me. So I'm just learning everything on the fly, trial and error. Almost every single thing been trial and error. So that's the toughest part.
What's the biggest lesson you learned over these last couple of years?
Sometimes to go further, you have to go slower. That's probably the biggest lesson I've learned. Rome wasn't built in a day. I know it's cliche, but there's never been a truer statement. So I kind of accomplished more once I slowed down. I
mentioned that these were your dreams since you were 19 and stuff. How close are you to the vision?
I'm close. I think once I get the school community to believe everything I believe or somehow support it, even if it's not what they believe in, I think that's the next step for me. I think ground level, we've covered everything, but we just need administrative support and things like that to push the right buttons. So
What does the next level look like?
turning the school into more of a community center, you know, the kids of the neighborhood, the people of the neighborhood, just to service more people than just the students who attend the school. I think that'd be the top of the totem pole.
What's the coolest part of being Kavon Baker?
No 2 days are the same. I think that's the best thing. No 2 days are the same. Yeah.
What's the toughest part?
The toughest part.
You wear many hats. Sometimes I go in your office, I'm like, yo, bro, anything I could do? Anything I could do to help,
I think
son?
the toughest part, I get it from my mom and my grandma. Like, I want to save everybody. If I can help everybody, I'll do it. I think that's the toughest part. I'm soft, man. I'm soft. So that's the toughest part for me.
My man is an educator here in the city, physical education teacher, and working as his coach, we were at John Dewey at that time, and the assistant principal just seen me around and gave me a job. I'm like, yo, this is up, son. I like this. And when we went to Wingate, too, same thing happened. AP saw me standing next to him, and it was out of there, son. That's the power of having, like, a great reputation amongst his coworkers. It adds pressure to me because I know when I walk in that building, I'm not just representing myself. I'm representing his recommendation. We got a few of our players in here. If you played for Kavon Baker at the AAU level or the high school level, please stand. With the podcast, man, what are some of the episodes that you've watched that have stood out or any info you've picked up?
Well, you know me, I always try to get the one up. So I've seen every coach, every single coach that's been on the podcast I've watched. Mr. Haskins, of course. Funny story, I remember him when I was at South Shore coaching JV. He said, "Man, you don't know what you're doing." But then a couple years later, he said, "I was wrong about you." So that was great.
Let me tell you about the Ray Haskins podcast because, again, I don't think I could. The city was waiting with bated breath. I did like a YouTube premiere, so people know it was about to come out, but they had to wait for it. And that day, Kavon, he called me. I mean, we working on the same team. It's nothing to speak to him. He called me. We went through our little thing. Shortly after, my young homie Anthony McClain calls me. We was talking. He was like, yo, I just finished talking to Baker. And he said, yo, Holly wouldn't tell me shit about this podcast that's about to come out. Like, nah, bro, y'all gotta wait. Yo, bro, this is the live show, right? I'm gonna ask you, you gotta give it up, man. You gotta give it up. I had two of our former players on last year, Jay Reed and Abdul Torre.
I know what you're gonna ask. It only took 10 minutes.
What was your experience like watching two of our former players on that podcast?
I cried. First 10 minutes.
Boom! Why?
Like, and I was thinking about it when I was sitting down. Like, when you're in it day to day, you don't realize, like, how much you accomplished or how many lives you affected. Like, you don't have the time to stop and think about that. You're just trying to hit your next target day after day after day. So, like, sitting down for that hour, hearing them talk about how, like, one day or one game, you know, did a lot for them. It's like, dang, like, you would never think it. Like, you're so big picture, you forget to see the little things sometimes.
How can these people help you with the dream?
Send me the best basketball players they know. What else? That's pretty much it, man. I mean, I think if we help everyone as a whole, it'll help everyone, each school individually. I think that's it. I think we need more of a change overall than, like, per se me individually or individual schools. Like, there's a realignment going on right now. I think it took the right things into consideration. It's gonna help out a lot of schools, a lot of coaches, but other than that, I would just say support an athlete. It's tough. It is tough, especially in today's world. There's a lot of distractions. There's so much other things to do than play basketball, like when we were growing up. So it's tough.
Kavon Baker, salute, my brother. Thank you.
Thank you.